Car sit for 2 days, and this has never happened this quickly, and the battery drained. Not all. Hey, what's up? It's Jason. So I'm back at you talking about my 2003 Land Rover Range Rover L322. As you might remember, I installed a second battery, and the purpose of the second battery was to give a little more juice upon startup, because these trucks really require a lot of voltage when you turn the key to get it going. Unfortunately, I let the car sit for 2 days, and this has never happened this quickly, and the battery drained. Not all the way, but enough where it wasn't starting. And the second battery does not engage if the primary battery, I think, is below 9 volts or so. So I suspect the main battery is below 9 volts. And this is really disappointing because I spent a lot of time doing a parasitic battery draw, and I thought I diagnosed what the issue is. But now I have the issue. So, So, two things. One, maybe the light of something was left on. But I'm starting to think it's fuse 28 related to the wipers on the headlights. It's a common fault, and people say that they continuously try to engage even when the car is off and parked, and it drains the battery. Maybe it's been rainy and humid the past couple days. Maybe that caused an issue where they're trying to engage and drain the battery. And fuse 28 is what you use to actually pull that and disengage it. So I'm going to test with my multimeter the battery today. I have had it hooked on a charger, and then I'm going to see if pulling that fuse 28 what it does. And I need to dig deeper into the second battery, because the purpose of that install was really to prohibit a bit of this from happening. But if the primary battery continues to draw below that voltage, it's not engaging the secondary battery. So you can follow along as I do a bit of troubleshooting here on this 2003 Land Rover Range Rover L322. Okay, so yeah, on this 2003, if I leave it for more than like 5 days, I always have it hooked up to a battery tender, which I have it currently hooked up to, just to keep the battery topped off. But I never expect to have to do that for a day or two. And in this case, it had enough juice to unlock and the radio and everything, but not enough to turn over. So it is showing the battery's ready. I'm going to use my multimeter just to give it a bit of a test and see how many volts. I should have 12 volts or so on it, obviously. And then when I start, I should have, around 14 volts when it's charging. So I'm showing exactly what I would expect. 12.5 volts on the battery, on my multimeter. So what I'm going to do next is, knowing that the battery is fully charged, I'm just going to make sure it starts. And then when it starts, I'll hook the multimeter up. I expect it to go up to 14 volts. And I'm going to go ahead and pull fuse 28, which controls these wipers, because a lot of people have convinced me that that's a common fault, and they're constantly trying to run. My wipers are not functioning, but it doesn't mean they're not trying to. So I'll show you how I'm going to pull fuse 28, and then that's going to enable me to do a bit of testing and see how the battery drops over time. I did a lot of testing on this before, and I thought I had it solved, but evidently not. So again, let's start the car and make sure it starts. Make sure the battery goes to 14 volts when the alternator kicks in, and then I'm going to make sure that I pull fuse 28 and then monitor the situation. Okay, so let's go ahead and give this a go. And the 2003, just like the 07, when you put the key near, you should hear that click. So it definitely starts up. So I know the battery didn't have enough voltage yesterday. The question just is, and I did that, the question just is why? When I stop the car, I always make a point to cut the AC off. There's no interior lights running. There's no indication that this the battery would have died. So maybe, and I'm not sure how these wipers work, but I don't expect they should be pulling that much of a draw, but somehow my battery got below where it should have been. So let's hop back up here and make sure that with it running, the battery should test around 14 volts. So I'm just hooking the multimeter up, and I'm going to make sure I'm getting 14 volts. And I tell you, if you own a Land Rover from a P38 onward, you better have a multimeter. I'm getting 14.25 volts. So what that tells me is the alternator is definitely charging the battery. So this wasn't a result of me driving around and the battery not recharging and then parking. So the battery should be good. Although, again, I'm going to put it under a load and drive it and then measure where it might be. And then I need to pull fuse 28 just as a test. So let's go ahead and show how to pull fuse 28, which again controls these wipers from my understanding. If you're watching this, you're probably saying, Jason, just do a parasitic battery draw and pull fuses and see what drops. But I've done that, and for like the past year, I haven't had many issues. Then I added that second battery, which was supposed to alleviate some of this. So I'm just going to give this a go now. So fuse 28 is going to be in the panel behind the glove box. So you're going to have to open up the glove box, and it's going to be behind all of this stuff. So let me get a flashlight, and I'll pop it out and show you what I'm looking at. Now, the 2003, I do appreciate it's a little bit more spacious under here, but you can see this tab and that tab, and then all you're going to want to do is just push the tab down and push this tab down, and then this panel is going to come out, and it's going to show you all of the fuses. Now I'm looking for fuse 28, and the numbers are located underneath. So you can see that's like 31, and then as you scroll over, that gives you a little bit of guidance. But really, what you want to focus in on is this guide. So according to this, fuse 28 is a 30 amp fuse, and it is, according to my research, it should be controlling headlight cleaning. That's what it says right there. So fuse 28, kind of hard to see, I know, but headlight cleaning, fuse 28. And fuse 28 is right here. So if you're looking, it's going to be 1, 2, 3 over from the right, because it only goes up to 30. So 3 over from the right, it's actually already pulled. Somebody already pulled fuse 28. So it's already been removed from this car. So that's definitely not causing my issues, because it doesn't exist. So there's nothing to pull. So that's interesting to me. Somebody obviously was doing some diagnostics work, testing things, but what also is interesting to me are the other fuses missing. Well, 7's supposed to be a blank, 14's a blank. So yeah, it's actually, those are supposed to be blank according to the diagram. Now what I was hoping I could yank that fuse, and maybe that would have been my issue, but somebody beat me to it. Probably the previous owner. But in any event, if you're looking to test that out, pull that fuse. But in my case, that's not the issue. That definitely isn't the issue, because it doesn't exist. So I'm going to do some more troubleshooting here. I'm not sure what to make of the battery draining in about a day and a half. So I got to think about this a little bit more and just keep an eye on it and see what's going on. And if it keeps getting below 9 volts, it makes that second battery in the boot useless, because that will only engage if you have 9 volts. So it's intended to work if you have 9 volts or more, but you want more, you know, than 9 volts to start the to start it. So I need to go in here and I'm going to do some testing on this battery. But that second battery was supposed to help me with this issue. And it doesn't seem to be able to do its job if the primary battery keeps falling below 9 volts. So that's it. So disappointing nonetheless, because I still have an ongoing battery issue. However, I thought fuse 28 was going to be a solution, and it turns out it's not. So stay tuned. I'll let you know what I find out. If you have any battery draw issues on your 2003 Land Rover Range Rover L322, definitely check out fuse 28 and keep your multimeter on the battery and monitor the draw and see what's going on. Thanks for tuning in. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel for more Land Rover videos. Have a great day.